Born to be wild.
I did it again.
Oops, I did it.
again.
We're in for a wild night.
We're on the same wavelength tonight, Hydra. Like more so than usual.
Welcome everybody to Britney Spears and Born to be Wild, episode 118. Our wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about Hearthstone every now and again, and pepperoni and pineapple on pizza, and whether or not red onion is a viable topping on pizza, and hotly debated item here. Anyhow, we are here tonight to talk about some wild Hearthstone and some Hearthstone lore, and my intro is all out of whack, and it's just staying. Let's do this thing. I'm your host, Nate Wolf, and I'm happy to be back. It's been a long week, and here we are. So we made it. I'm happy to be here, joined by three of my favorite people. This is the first time that we've done back-to-back lore episodes, and I'm very excited to be joining y'all tonight with part 2 of our Castle Nathria Revendreth lore. Are you still guys laughing at me? Shut up.
We had no clue we had started.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, this shit. Yeah, you know
This is actually live.
We didn't hear any music, so it was just, yeah. But
Wait, you didn't hear it? Why didn't you hear it? Oh, it played. That's hilarious. You guys didn't hear it? Well, that's funny. Oh, everyone else heard it. Okay. Just wait until you listen to it back, because it's great.
So was your face.
Oh, that makes it even better. I thought you guys were just like trolling me. That's great. Wait. So do you hear this?
I feel icky.
No,
if you mean silence, then yes.
What?
Deafening silence.
The sound of
well,
silence.
this is going to be a
Oh,
fun
you beat
night.
me to it. I was going to say that.
Well, now, okay. Well,
You're a rock star?
We'll do that. Yes, we can do some Smash Mouth improv if you want. This is probably a cool thing. Like, I have not rebooted my computer since like the last time we were here last week. I've just been putting it to sleep each night, and it probably has like a update or something.
Back to sleep.
Back to sleep. We are live, and I'm not redoing it. So welcome to the show, Goliath. How you been this week?
I've been doing good. I have. It's been a pretty good week for me overall. Been keeping busy, not too chaotic about things. I've been learning a lot about farming stuff, actually, from some things that I've been writing for my local newspaper, largely about wind turbines and crop dusting. So I was driving along the highways trying to get pictures of all the planes and helicopters over fields. So I'd be driving for a while and then quickly pull over to the highway and run around with the camera and then drive a bit more, and really hoping that cars didn't go off onto the shoulder the whole time. But so that there was some excitement, but it was overall a pretty chill week for me. And of course, loved busting out the new cards and everything. It's been really fun to play with the new Castle Nathria things, and of course, it's what we're here to talk about tonight, because, well, we're going to talk a little bit about our experiences with the cards, because how could we not? But especially who are the characters in the cards, because we all love learning that stuff.
Ooh,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's hilarious. So I've been playing like sound bites this whole time, and nobody else has heard them except me. This is great. So the audio is recording just fine. It's just the music and the system sounds aren't coming through, which like the settings are correct. So I don't know. Hey everyone, can you hear this? I think the answer is yes. As long as someone says yes, then let's just keep going. Hydra, how you been this week?
I'm great. We talking about our weeks now or later?
Let's talk about it in a minute, but welcome back.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm doing great. This has been quite the week for me. I'll touch on it in a bit, but I'm super stoked because we got our good buddy Goliath here again.
Yeah.
Gonna finish off the lore. Always love having you on, and stoked to hear the rest, man.
Right. Yes, me too. Welcome back, Sheep.
Meowdy. No lies. That whole intro bit just like broke me a little bit. That was hilarious.
Oh, God, I'm glad we could do something unscripted for a change. Oh my gosh. This is the way.
This is going to be interesting
This is
for the
Born to Be
audio
Wild.
listeners.
Right?
It's pretty wild.
Someone will laugh at this later, I hope. And I
I will laugh at this later.
I
Just
will
a
repeat
reminder
this
to all of your
episode
fans that we are real people.
Yeah. Well,
we're
I'm technically Zerg.
And I am a mammal, but I'm
Fair.
not human. So, for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. Not typically this loose, but dial it back about 50%. 70%? Let me briefly explain how the show works. We record this podcast live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/BornToBeWildHS. And the video version of this podcast is then posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are, of course, also distributed to all the podcast apps. So, however you're watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today, thank you. Yes, you.
Yes, thank you all for being here. Thank you for bearing with us as we have got off to a little bit of a bumpy start tonight. And, a little bit of pre-show action. When we do these lore episodes, the setup takes a lot longer because there is quite a bit of homework to do. I really appreciate all of the hard work that Goliath put in, really helping with the story elements. And then we've got a bunch of artwork to go along with the stories. For those of you who are listening to the audio version, I want to do a quick plug. If you can, I recommend watching the video version on YouTube because we'll have pictures of both the card art in Hearthstone, but also pictures from the in-game from World of Warcraft. And so if you're interested in us talking about a card, but you don't know what it is, especially because we'll be talking about new cards, we'll have the visuals on the screen as we talk through them. And so a lot of people, at least I would personally find that beneficial. So I recommend checking this out on YouTube if you're an audio listener. Anyways, real quick content plug before we get started. Wanted to say a big thank you to Shokunin, who's the executive producer of our show, and also to our patrons. I really appreciate your help. Actually, we were just talking about this earlier. Because of the help from our patrons, we're going to commission some new artwork from Christina and do a Nathria mascot. So we'll do some new artwork. It's always very fun when a new set comes out. If you're interested. Yeah. So she has done a lot of work for us in the past and done some really cool things for us, our emotes and our shirts. So you can see the shirt. Wow, look at 2 out of our 3 cast members here wearing our Born to Be Wild shirts and hat. Wow.
That's not even a toque.
It is not.
Ooh. I do have the toque somewhere, though.
Nice. Anyways, there is some merch if anybody's interested in supporting the show that way. On our website, borntobewildhs.com, there's a link. Also, if you're interested in supporting us, we do have emotes that you can unlock for free by following, and there's a couple others that are exclusive if you subscribe to us. If you want to do that, it's free with Amazon Prime. I thought I had a picture of the shirt, but I think I deleted it, so we don't have that. Anyways, check out our website, borntobewildhs.com. There's links to all of our stuff, including Patreon if you're interested in supporting us that way, and also to our Discord if you're interested in hanging out with us all. There's a link. Discord is a free online community. We posted a lot of deck lists over this past week, so if you're looking for something to play in Wild with the new set, in our Discord there's channels for all of the different classes and a bunch of deck lists in there, and other stuff. We have fun. So anyhow, that's the plug. borntobewildhs.com has links to all of the stuff, and would love to interact with all of y'all. Okay, let's talk briefly about this last week because it was week 1. I know we kind of did away with how was your week segment of the show a while ago to kind of streamline things, but this is week 1 of a brand new set, and before we jump into the story time, I just thought it'd be fun to see what y'all been up to because I know there was some stuff. I will start, but I'll try to make it quick. I did the thing and hit Legend on day 1. Normally,
Hooray!
Hooray!
So it worked out that it was a Monday and I had taken the day off of work and had a long weekend and was sitting around at home all day with nothing to do. And so I just jammed through it. I played Big Priest. I
thought you played Large Reverend.
I played the Fun Police deck. I did I had an 80% win rate until I hit Diamond 1 and then went on this massive losing streak. Lost like 6 in a row. I had 4 final bosses, and I played so many mirror matches. It was just awful, but I had the time, and so I just kind of jammed through it and entered at rank 14, which is the lowest I've ever entered before. So that was really cool. I think my ultimate win rate was around 68, 69, 70%, something 68%.
That's still really good.
I think I missed the funny number by 1. But anyways, that was exciting for me. The downside of it is that so my thought process was let me hit Legend and Wild, and then I'll go goof around in Standard because I don't really care about my rank. But this is good. I think that this hopefully is enough to secure my 11x. Wanted to briefly talk about thoughts, my thoughts anyhow of some of the new cards. Here are my super quick hot takes. Imp Warlock is surprisingly good. The card's very strong. They just flood the board and get humongous. Particularly the location card feels almost busted.
Yeah.
Theo makes me want to just uninstall the game. I've almost launched my iPad several times where I was oh sweet, I got my combo. I'll do my my OTK right here, and then they take my card and then use it on me. Did you know that your Sire Dinatharius still is all juiced up? It's just not yours anymore. And same thing with your Mordresh. Yeah.
Oh man,
it's not fun. I did a super
Mordresh. It does too.
I'm pretty sure. It stays. Maybe it doesn't. But I've had so many cards.
Yeah, remember, infused cards are brand new cards essentially. So
right.
I've had so many cards stolen from me with Theodore over the past week that I may be remembering incorrectly because I just started seeing red when my nice, awesome thing disappeared. One thing that is no surprise to me is that for the rest of the game effects are very good. The Topior in Druid is particularly good. Sire Dinatharius is way better than I think anybody expected.
Oh yeah.
I've been experimenting primarily in Standard with 2 decks. There's a lot to play, but the 2 that I've just been having so much fun with that I didn't want to change. These are super greedy decks. Don't play them unless you really want. But I've been having a lot of fun with them. Are Skeleton Mage I made the XL version because I started not playing it, and then I wanted to add a couple more cards, and so
why not?
Why not? I packed a golden Sire Dinatharius, and I asked the question. The answer is no. You cannot upgrade. So we get the Sire Dinatharius as part of the rewards track, right? Free uncraftable card. You cannot upgrade it. So if you want it in gold, you have to spend the full amount. But I got it as one of my pack legendaries or whatever. Opened up a ton. I'm so glad that I had saved all those standard packs. And saved particularly the standard gold packs because I opened up so many golden legendaries.
Nice.
And then I opened 2 copies of Finley. One was from a pack, and then one was my the free one from the rewards pass. And that's cool. Free dust. So anyways, this is the skeleton ping mage. It's not the full list because it's got 40, but the code is in the show notes. It's really fun. I'm having a good time with it. I don't know that it's broken or anything. It just is really fun to play.
Spooky, scary skeletons.
Right? There you go. That's a fun song right there. The other one that I've been playing, and I morphed this a little bit, is a Dragon Druid. So I started playing just the combo version that runs Dinatharius at the top. You can find him so easy with what is it?
Capture Cold Tooth Mine.
Yeah, the Cold Tooth Mine. So that was what people used to use to tutor out Kazakhstan. And now you can grab Sire Dinatharius with it. We learned the hard way that if you're running Raidbox Onyxia and Sire, that it's a 50-50 which one you're going to get. But at this point, the deck was... So we'd asked the question, right? Blue Tree and I were chatting, well, wouldn't you want to put Onyxia in this because of all the tokens? And, well, let's try it. And then I'm looking at this, I'm like, well, you're running Topior and you're running Onyxia, like, why not just add 2 more so that you could get the dragon synergies? Because I had so many people playing Theodore or Theotar, Theo, whatever, and stealing my cards, and then I had people running all kinds of disruption, playing also Mutiniz, and I wanted an alternate win con, so when my Dinatharius got stolen that I could have a Kazakhstan. It's super greedy, but I've been having a ton of fun with it. My best OTK so far was like 68 damage. It was 30. Oof. It was I did Bran, Kelthuzad, and then I did Sire Dinatharius that had eaten 34. And so it was 34 times 2. It was awesome. So it's fun. It's super greedy, but it's absolutely fun. Wow, that is a great meme you got there. And did you just?
I think I will take it.
Did you just make that? Or
no? Old
Wow.
Guardian posted it on Twitter.
Oh my gosh.
Bilbo Baggins from the Fellowship of the Ring. After all, why not? Why shouldn't I use them all? Why not use them all? And it's the new Kelthuzad, Mordresh, Fire Eye, and Sire Dinatharius.
They're all in my deck. It's so great. I've been having an absolute blast with it so far, and I don't know. There's a lot of things that seem good, and I just haven't got around to playing other stuff because I've been having too much fun with the stuff that I'm playing right now.
Yeah.
And so, like, okay, that's good.
That's a good thing. If you're just not hopping around so much, you're already having so much fun with this stuff you already have. I think that's a sign of a good expansion release.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll get around to the other stuff, but I'm having fun with this right now, and I'm at Diamond 4. So it's working. It's not refined at all, but it's an absolute blast. And so I'll just keep doing the thing. Pack opening was great. I don't want to get into it too much, but like we streamed Aramorn's pack opening, who won the massive mega bundle giveaway. We recorded.
Thank you, Shokunin, and congratulations, Aramorn.
Yeah, it was super fun. And I was planning on opening my packs during my lunch break, and then didn't get a lunch break and opened them after Armorn that night, and then played a bunch, and it was fun. It's been a nice Hearthstone week. Really fun opening set. Anyways, enough about me. Let me pass it over. Sheep, I know you've been playing some stuff and hit Legend already, so that's super cool.
Yeah, so I typically start off a new expansion playing Standard because the card changes typically change the most there, right? So I started on Tuesday at Bronze 10. I had not played a single Standard game the entire season, all one day of it.
Yeah.
And I proceeded to jam some Imp Warlock, which was so much fun, and hit Legend on day 2 of the expansion, so August 3rd, in the new meta, and it was so much fun. Those imps are a blast, and like it's such a fun deck. I love playing aggro. It's an aggro deck. A lot of the same synergies that are in the wild version are of course also in the standard version. And it's fun to be basically playing Zoo, but also all of a sudden, boom, you're not dropping a Doom Guard. You're just like, oh, the location, the Vile Library is just making these tiny little impotent dudes just like freaking huge, and then just going face for all of the damage. And Shady Bartender is great, and Imp King Rafam is incredible, and it's just so much fun.
Rafam is like really good.
And if he's infused, even if you're not getting any imps on the board, he's still buffing all of your imps. So sometimes it's just right to drop Rafam for lethal, even if you're not getting any of your imps, because he's buffing your board if he's infused. Imp fused?
That's great. And Vile Library. Yeah, I was saying, save your copies of Vile Library for when it gets hit. I don't know that it will or not. I know it's so funny because people start calling for nerfs on like in the first week, and it's like, hey, just chill for a minute and see.
Let us have fun for a while.
But the deck feels very strong. I mean, I've run into it a number of times, and like, my goodness, like you really have to. You can't leave anything on the board because they will kill you with it. I mean, it's just and if you run out of juice and they don't, like, you're dead. So.
And with the life tap and with the impending catastrophe, they don't run out of juice very, very often at all. So
who would have predicted we're seeing Impiking boss in 2022? Like, wow,
that's pretty cool,
right? Like,
that's
this
incredible.
Is the beauty of Wild.
That's in standard, my friend.
Well, the core set has taken the page out of Wild's book in the sense of being able to bring some cards from the past. In the traditional standard, where it's only the latest stuff and the core was all stagnant, then you never would have seen this sort of thing. But I don't know. I think that the core is basically the devs taking a look at the benefits of Wild and deciding to move a bit of that into the standard.
I like it.
I can see it.
It's very fun. It's very fun.
So in Wild, I've been playing a decent amount of Secret Mage. And then that one is mostly the pods list from the People's Champ podcast. And I pulled his list from Twitter. It's really fun. And also Nate posted Clapper's Aggro Demon Hunter. And I played that over lunch and a little bit whenever I got home. Because that was just today, and that's really fun too. I mean, like, we've got the not Bibliomite, the Fossil Fanatic to just like continue to draw burn, and then you've got more burn, and then you just go face for stuff, and it's really fun. I'm a big fan of aggro decks, to the surprise of absolutely no one here. And I mean, this is just another way to do that thing, but with Demon Hunter in Wild, it's a blast. So I've been having so much fun playing, stuff like that. I actually haven't played my favorite deck from our theory crafting stream because I've just been like you said, Nate, been having so much fun with these other things that this thing that I was really excited about and still am. I just haven't gotten around to it yet because I've been having so much fun.
Right. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is fun though, and I don't think I've enjoyed a set like this for quite a while, and it's crazy that a week has gone by and like we're all busy in real life, but like I don't think we've had a set come out where we've had this much fun in the first week in quite a while, at least for me, and so I've been enjoying it. Hydra, what about you? What have you been playing?
You guys are making me crazy jealous right now. I actually had, Monday off because it's a holiday. And then I had Tuesday off. And I had Wednesday off with my family. And I was like, okay, expansion day. We're going to do this. And because that's Tuesday, right? And then I got the next day. I got Wednesday. It's going to be all good. I got so much. But we ended up, my family and I played so much VR that I didn't even. So day one, I opened, I think I had like 200 and some odd packs. So I had the mega bundle, and then I had just under 9,000 gold. So another like 90 packs. And then all those standard bundle ones, the class specific packs that I just saved because why not? And on day one, I only got through like 40 card packs opening in the morning. Like, yeah, let's open it. I'm like going, and then son comes out, wife comes out. Hey, like, can we play this? Can we play Beat Saber? And I'm like, okay, I'll turn it off. And I'm like, dang it. And so we're like playing the game, and then we're going out and we're doing stuff, having an amazing time, by the way.
Yeah.
Awesome time. And then it's like, okay, next day, I'll do it. Start opening packs again. Shut down kind of like halfway through again. It ended up taking me 3 days to open all my packs.
Wow.
And actually play. And I missed out on, I think, 1 or 2 of the like daily quests also. Just because we were, I know, right? But
you?
I know. and something that I do on 3 accounts. I didn't do it on any. None.
What?
Shock and awe.
And I would have opened all of the packs if it weren't for you meddling kids.
I know, right? But in all honesty, we had a lot of fun. My kid has taken up a lot of, like, he's been obsessed with skateboarding lately. And
Oh yeah, I saw your video. I saw your video on Twitter.
Oh, you mean when I fell? Yeah. And so, like, I've done a lot of skateboarding in my life. I used to skateboard a lot, film videos, and do all sorts of stuff. And so for him and me to do this stuff together, for me, it's super cool because he's finally taking it up. I got him one back when he was like 7 or 8 years old, and he sort of took to it, and not really, but he's 13 now, and he's really getting into it. So a combination of that, and then when he comes in, he's been wanting to spend a lot of time together doing the VR thing and whatnot. So I literally didn't get to even log a game until yesterday. Plus, work has been kind of crazy busy because I was preparing the last 2 days that I only actually worked this week, Thursday, Friday, because I'm going on vacation next week.
Whoa!
Nice.
Nice.
Hooray! I'm off
it.
for another 2 weeks. So I was only at work 2 days this week, but I'm off all the next 2 weeks, and we're going camping next week. We're leaving Sunday. And then the second week, I'm home alone, not alone, but with the family again to do whatever. So hopefully slide in a little more Hearthstone this time. But
staycation, yeah.
Staycation for the second half. My pack opening went pretty good though, overall. I opened basically, everything besides all the legendaries, right? I think I had like 7 or 8 left that I didn't open, but you get a couple from the rewards track, and then including duplicates that you dust, I could probably craft everything that's left. So pretty stoked about that, except for I didn't get Imp King Rafam. And I know I did not.
No.
And so, I thought, okay, I may as well craft this because it's awesome.
Yeah.
Right. However, all right, when I hit level 20, I'm going to get on the rewards track, I'm going to get a legendary. Hit 20, didn't get it. All right, but when I hit 50, might get it. So we'll see. I want to like maximize, value of all the dust and everything I get.
For sure.
Hopefully I don't sit on it and it gets nerfed and I don't get to play it. But I started playing Skeleton Mage because I had, play 3 mage decks. And that deck was super fun. I didn't even actually look at the list to understand how it worked before I even played it. I was just like, okay, copy, paste, let's play. And somehow won like a whole bunch of games in a row. Like, this is cool. I love this until I ran into the Imp King.
Yeah, it's good.
And then I started losing. I'm like, well, I want to play that one now.
That's how it goes, right? You when you lose, it's like, I want to play with the deck I just lost to because it seems OP.
Every time. And then it's suddenly not OP when I play it. I don't get it.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Yeah, but I still had a lot of fun playing the Skeleton Mage. And I didn't try the XL version that you have here. But I feel like that's worth it just for fun too, right?
It's fun. I'm not going to make any kind of claims about it being good. It's too early. Again, this is the standard. You hear other people saying this type of stuff, but it's week 1. We've had the set for less than a week now, right? Or just about a week.
Yeah, less.
I don't recommend dusting or crafting anything if you can afford to wait. Because it's just so early, and there's things that people play on day 1 that feel bad or feel busted or anywhere in between, but the reality is, like, we really probably won't know for another week or 2, and so I wouldn't go like spending a bunch of money or dusting things yet because it might be good later. So
yeah, and all those duplicates that you're sitting on, when those cards get nerfed, they're going to be worth a lot more than they are now.
So,
yeah.
Real quick, as a PSA, the ones that you get an immediate dust, like if you go into your collection manager and you type in refund, it'll show you what cards you get full dust value for. I think right now it's Sire Dinatharius and it's Murloc Holmes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yes,
those are
I
only
believe
good,
so.
I think, for about a week. I know last time, gosh, I think last set they were only good for like a couple of days. So if you
Checking now.
Yeah, if you get either of those, and so yeah, like I got the rewards track, and so I opened up the Diamond Murloc Homes, and then I opened one from a pack, and that was my level 20 legendary, was another Murloc Homes, and so those two I dusted because you get the full dust value, and then I packed a Golden Sire Dinatharius, and I'm just gonna keep it because I like the card, but that one is worth, like, you could get full dust value back for that as well.
Yeah. I also packed Golden Sire Denatharius, and while I disenchanted him, I will probably re-enchant him, and I'm losing nothing because whenever I disenchanted, I got full dust value, so
Yeah.
no big deal.
What I was
All is
wondering,
good.
I had asked on Twitter and got a pretty quick response, was if you can upgrade your current one, and
No.
the answer is no, you cannot. So if you want the gold one, you have to spend the 3,200, which
It's more than 2.
yeah.
It's a lot more than 2.
Anyways,
So Goliath, you already talked a little bit about your week. Did you have anything else to share before we dive deep into tonight's special topic?
Yes, I mainly I flit around experimenting with a lot of things, largely just taking deck lists that look interesting, and I was very fortunate this time that I was gifted a lot of cards, and so I ended up with a lot of legendaries to start with. So generally, legendaries are most of the decks that I end up creating, because I'm not the best deck builder really, they end up going like, here's a legendary with a really cool effect, and I build the deck entirely around just trying to activate that effect as much as possible. So like getting Evolved Shaman with Vosh a lot, or doing like complete Silver Hands with the Steward, which is a lot more powerful than I initially realized, because it's not like one of those cards where I remember like the Dragon Rider Paladin card where like you had to have a dragon in hand for it's one of those the effect transfers. No, it's like
Right.
you don't have to have any Silver Hand minions on the board, but just the very next one you summon is an automatic 4/4. It's just
The
mwah.
next Silver Hand recruit that's reporting for duty's got a big booty.
Yeah. And but yeah, like you guys talk about Skeleton Mage,
I
the
need to clip that.
Kelthuzad. It is just so much fun to just summon so many of those skeletons, and then like even you almost want to lock your board so that there's only room for the Kelthuzad, so that instead of summoning you just do all the 2 damage as many times as you've summoned them, and it's kind of like Modresh Fire Eye in the sense that, or you build up throughout the game to try to get more damage from that one card, and then they can just be amazing finishers. So I can't say that I've been successful in any of my games really, but I've been having fun because like, look at all these cards. And I haven't even touched some of the classes. Like I have him King Rafam, haven't built anything with it yet. I want to do stuff with Warrior because I have Olgra. I want to figure out something for Olgra. But yeah, there are so many great ones that I have to get around to experimenting with a lot more. But hey, that means I always find one of the great joys in life is the discovering of something new. So I have a lot of new things that I can try out before I've exhausted the supply. That's how I look at it.
I love it. And yeah, big shout out to Armorn, I think, who was generous and shared his winnings with some other folks.
Yes.
Managed to open up the whole set minus a couple cards that were quickly crafted, and then yeah, it sounds like we all made out pretty well. And yeah, if anybody's looking for deck lists to play, whether it's it's us here, but folks listening or watching in our Discord, there's a whole bunch of them. As we see them, we'll try to share them so that if you're looking for stuff, I've kind of feel like I'm in that same boat with you, where like I feel like I'm a better pilot than I am a deck builder, and I'll have fun like building stuff, but like I don't feel like I'm very good at it. But it's been enjoyable. So
yeah, and it's now I'm finally at the point where like having been in this community with all you guys for a while, where I recognize a lot more names. So if I see a deck list that's floating around, not even just in the Discord that we have with Born to Be Wild, but on some of the other websites, and I see that, oh, this is a Maxibond deck, or this is a Blue Train deck, I suddenly go, oh boy, this is probably going to be a powerful one.
You know what's funny, and I probably shouldn't go here, but like you start recognizing names after a while too, and you'll get to know like when it's bait versus when it's not. And so I often will look for, like, if a deck is posted with no stats, like that is a red flag.
Danger, Will Robinson.
I'm not saying it's not fun, but like there's a few floating around where like it's a trap.
But Nate, bait is delicious.
Yes. I'm just saying, before you spend all your dust crafting stuff because you saw it on Twitter, like. Anyways,
beware.
It's been I'm not naming names. I'm not going there. But have fun.
I've posted some bait in my day. Absolutely.
Well, I wasn't talking about you, but
I know you weren't.
Oh my goodness. Well, I guess we might want to talk about some lore. There's a lot of cards tonight to talk about. Like, oh my gosh, I thought we went pretty deep last week, and there is a
last
lot.
Last week we covered about
so.
half of the things.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So this week we're so super brief recap. Last episode we talked about the lore primarily behind the Shadowlands, and within the Shadowlands there's these different realms. So Shadowlands is like the realm of the dead in World of Warcraft, and within the Shadowlands there's like different areas where different people reside, and we covered all of them, but we did not do a deep dive into Revendreth, which is where Castle Nathria takes place. So our cards like Sire Dinatharius and Prince Renethal and some of these other cards, like, we're going to do a deep dive into that tonight. I'm kind of probably butchering that introduction, so I'm just going to pass it off to Goliath. But anyways, we are talking about Revendreth tonight. Yeah.
Yes, Revendreth. The realm of the penitent souls, the realm of redemption, of retribution, of basically everybody's last chance to be able to go to any of the other infinite afterlives in the Shadowlands, instead of spending eternity suffering in the Maw, which is the eternal damnation for the absolute worst of the worst, unrepentant tyrants, criminals, warmongers, etc. So yes, Revendreth is here's the preface here, that a lot of the things that we're going to talk about here that happen in Revendreth sound really, really rough. Remember this with the preface that these all happen to people who have done really horrible things in general, is the way it's supposed to work, at least. We'll get into how maybe some things aren't quite the way they're supposed to work in a little bit. But starting things out, we are going to be starting at the top and working our way down to the bottom in terms of the who is who in Revendreth. And of course, we are beginning with the star of our set, Sire Dinatharius himself. Now, he is the leader of Revendreth, in fact, practically the creator of Revendreth. Everything is made in his image. As we mentioned last week, he is one of the four Eternal Ones, who are basically the pantheon of death that were created in a long time before time, essentially, in a place called Zereth Mortis, which is like the forge of afterlives. And very little is known about this, but they were created in this forge by this race of beings called the First Ones, who are probably responsible for the Titans too, or something. So that there's a lot of mystery surrounding the origins of these great cosmic beings and such. But basically, Dinatharius was created with the sole purpose of being the being who can bring about the redemption and absolution of souls who required it. And that is what Revendreth is all about. However, as we mentioned last week, at some unknown time, he decided that he was going to deviate from that path that he was created for. And he threw in his lot with the being who was previously the Arbiter, who distributed souls to the afterlives, but fell and was later known as Zoval the Jailer, who became the Lord of the Maw of Eternal Damnation. And Dinatharius is like, yeah, we'll pool our resources together, completely remake all of reality, and then death will be the only cosmic power that matters, and we'll rule all of existence. Fantastic. That's what I want to do.
Sounds like an average Tuesday.
Yeah. So Denatharius eventually, so he created the entire race of the Venthyr in his image. And so they are obviously kind of, vampire-like inspired. It's a very Dracula aesthetic that the entire Revendreth place has, which is one of the reasons I love it. It has this great, like, gothic horror-inspired vibe without actually being horrific,
It's very like Nosferatu. They all look like that kind of, like you said, vampire aesthetic.
Yeah, it's the cool parts without the gross out freak out parts. This is what I love about it. And so we have, they're all very classy, and they're very generally Venthyr are very aristocratic. They're divided into noble houses and such. They're with all sorts of names. Like one that particularly springs to mind is House Primrose. That's actually a thing. And yes, lots of them. And so, it's like, Victorian age high aristocracy type of, diplomacy and skullduggery and all those sorts of intrigue type of things that happen among the Venthyr. But then there are also those who serve them, some lesser created races who are known as the Dredgers. These are creatures who are essentially... Yes. Oh, sorry, actually, we are getting a little ahead of ourselves. My apologies. There's one more thing to talk about first. Because Dinatharius, before we talk about the Dredgers, Dinatharius actually made one other race in addition to the Venthyr. These are known as the Nathrazim. And everybody here is familiar with the Nathrazim. Even if you didn't know already, because they are the official name of the Dreadlords, who we know as demons, but were initially created by Sire Dinatharius, Nathrazim, it all plays together there.
So we're talking like Mal'Ganis type.
Okay. Oh, yes. In fact, as part of the plot involving Dinatharius in World of Warcraft Shadowlands, you actually encounter Mal'Ganis.
Oh, cool.
Like he's literally a character at a point in the story. So yes, they were created to be the ultimate infiltrators. Dreadlords can disguise themselves as anything and anyone. They can kill your best comrade without you knowing it and take their place and mimic it perfectly, learning all of your secrets, and you never knew that your closest confidant had been replaced by an enemy spy. That's what they can do.
Wow.
They are serious. Yes.
So
yeah.
This is interesting because we, as the set is presented, it's like, oh, it's a murder mystery and Sire Dinatharius has been murdered. And as it turns out, and I'm sure we'll get into that more later, but like, he's actually not like the protagonist. He's more of like the bad guy, right?
Oh, yes. Very much so. We're going to get into all the nasty stuff that he's done.
Whenever Murloc Holmes finds the killer, is he going to give them like a medal? Like, good job, thank you.
Maybe. Who knows at this point? But yeah, okay.
Okay, so we have the ruling part of the ruling body, right?
Right. Yes. So the rulership of the realm of Revendreth is divided not solely by Sire Dinatharius, that he is at the top of it all, of course, But there is a council of 7 beings known as the Court of Harvesters, who are in charge of managing various aspects of the Shadowlands and also in charge of extracting very specific types of sins from souls. Who are, as I said, they're the Court of Harvesters. They harvest. Because the way that Revendreth works is that it extracts the anima, which is the essence of a soul. It's generally formed from all of a soul's experiences, good or bad, like souls who have lived, like, lives where they've, seen it all and had so many experiences, made big decisions. They are just brimming with anima. More common souls like the farmer who never really left town or whatever. They don't have quite as much in there because it's kind of a sum of experiences. And this is what keeps the Shadowlands flowing. And so anytime that you see, in fact, like we have in our lovely border here, the all this red stuff, this is anima, which is kind of the great way we get the vampire-like beings drinking red stuff without it having to be blood. So that's kind of one of the reasons it looks the way it does. But yeah, no, that's perfectly G-rated. It's just anima right there. Just this soul-y wisp that comes out of a person when they are drained. So we're going to go through the...
It doesn't sound G-rated. That still sounds kind of scary. No blood, just your soul coming out.
It doesn't
honestly
break any guidelines, and it can be shown in China. So
it is just much scarier than blood.
There we go. All right, so we have a few of the Court of Harvesters, including Prince Renethal. Is he part of the court?
Yeah. Oh, yes. In fact, Prince Renethal was the very first Venthyr ever created by Sire Dinatharius. He is the firstborn son, the oldest brother of all Venthyr. And he is the Harvester of Dominion, which means that he has the ability to control Venthyr if they go against their purpose and alter the fabric of the Shadowlands. The power that every member of the Court of Harvesters has comes from a special medallion that they have, entrusted to them by Sire Dinatharius himself, infused with a portion of his own power. Of course, the little thing here is that he can take that back whenever he wants, and anytime it's the power of the medallion that's used, he knows everything that's going on with whoever is using it. So there's no keeping secrets from Sire Dinatharius if you are using one of the medallions there. And they can get passed on to someone else. So the original holder of a position in the Court of Harvesters might be long gone, and it's someone else who is filling that position.
It's very Lord of the Rings, right? Like if they use the ring, like Sauron would know that you used it and where you're at and what you're doing with it, right? That's very
much so, actually.
See, you went Lord of the Rings. I was thinking Captain Planet. Like Sire Dinatharius is like Captain Planet, giving all Lord of the Rings. I think is much more appropriate.
By our powers combined,
I am Captain Planet.
Earth,
wind,
fire.
Art.
Go planet.
I've never seen it. But yeah, actually, this is a set of 7. And yeah, so Prince Renethal is actually the leader of the rebellion against Sire Dinatharius because he realized that Dinatharius didn't really have Revendreth of the Shadowlands' best interest in mind. He kind of wised up to the fact that rather than extracting the anima for the good of Revendreth in the Shadowlands, Dinatharius was hoarding it and keeping it away from everybody else who needed it. It kind of like French Revolution stuff, like, let them eat cake type of thing. That's kind of what Dinatharius is doing here. And they don't even know the reason quite yet. They just know that... hey, ho, ho, Dinatharius has got to go. So,
all right.
So Renethal attempts to get some support from other members of the Court of Harvesters, and some join him and some don't for their own various reasons. So yeah, that's Renethal and the power of Dominion. Our next member of the Harvesters is the Countess. She is the Harvester of Desire. She is essentially the big party planner and socialite of Revendreth. Her role is basically managing the Venthyr nobility, selecting savory souls for consumption by nobles, and also there's souls who particularly suffered from desire in life, like that was their big sin, that they kind of fall under her jurisdiction. She essentially is all about having keeping the elites entertained with parties and trivialities so that they don't really have time to consider, massive plots to overthrow the existing order and whatnot. She's the bread and circus person, basically, for the elite masses.
So
and
that's
It makes so much sense that she gives the player that plays them legendary invitations that then, it just fits with the lore so well.
Yes, exactly.
right. That's great. That's very clever. I like that.
And she actually is rather neutral in the whole thing against between Renethal and Dinatharius. She is more kind of a subtlety, a play both sides type of thing. But she actually eventually just surrenders her medallion willingly to Renethal and the player, of course, because obviously we're on that side. And while kind of officially remaining neutral, she's just like, you're causing some excitement around here. It's been so dreadfully boring here in Revendreth ever since Renethal's little revolution got squashed. So, go ahead, take my medallion. I'll be entertained by what you do with it. Is essentially her approach to all of that.
That's great.
Wow. Okay, so the next one up is the Harvester of Envy, which has a different name, right? This was a little bit confusing for me, but
right. So as I said, the Harvester of title is something that all of these guys have, like Renethal's Harvester of Dominion, Countess's Harvester of Desire. So this guy's title is the Harvester of Envy. The more name, which is also kind of a title about the same time, but this particular character, this holder of the position, goes by the name the Tithe Lord. And the Tithe Lord is, let's see, he is the 275th Harvester to hold the position of the Harvester of Envy. A lot of them don't change hands that much. As I said, Renethal is an original. He's had that position forever. But something tells me that when you deal with envy, there's a lot of people who are envious to have your position. And so that's my guess as to why it changes hands so much. Basically, the Harvester of Envy oversees assigning sin stones to souls who come in, and we're going to talk more about sin stones later. But essentially, they're kind of a ticket at the door that you get when you're a soul that enters Revendreth and needs to do a lot of atoning and whatnot. So he's kind of in charge of the assigning of all that stuff for the new arrivals, and is in charge of taking the tithes, as said, his name is the Tithe Lord, of anima from the Venthyr and the souls. Basically, he's the tax collector.
Okay.
And living up to the reputation of tax collectors, this one did not join the good guys. In fact, he actually teamed up with Kelthuzad, who was having his own shenanigans over in the other realm of Maldraxxus. And they teamed up together, and he gave him... So Dinatharius told the Tithe Lord to give Kelthuzad Renethal's old amulet of the power of Dominion. So essentially, you're getting Kelthuzad with the power of shaping the Shadowlands. Really scary stuff. It took powers from the Revendreth Rebellion and Draka and the Necrolords from Maldraxxus working together to pry that thing off of Kelthuzad.
Wow.
That's intense.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, this Tithe Lord, he's bad news. He's like every stereotype of the corrupt politician and tax collector that you could imagine, essentially.
Nice. Okay. In the card art on Hearthstone, he's got that giant fork. Does that have anything to do with anything?
That's more just like the illustrating the decadence type of thing. Like I have so much, the lavish meals and whatnot type of thing. It's not, he doesn't like have like a magical fork that's his signature weapon or anything like that.
Okay, cool. Doesn't really matter. I was just curious because sometimes they include that stuff. All right, the next one up is the Stone Rite.
Yeah.
Yes. So the Stone Rite is one of the oldest members to hold the title of a harvester. She's not like Renathal, where she was one of the originals created, because one of the things is that for Venthyr, there are the original Venthyr who created, but souls who have completed their redemption can also become Venthyr. They have, some various options. They can move on to another realm, but becoming a Venthyr and helping to continue helping others atone is something that is often the best option for some of them, depending on the situation. And so she's one of the oldest. She's only the second Venthyr to hold that title. So there was one before her, and it was in fact so long ago that even Renathal had forgotten that she wasn't an original. But a fun fact is that she was actually on her world, which we don't know what world she was initially from, the long eons past. But she actually served the goddess Elune, the same one that the Night Elves on Azeroth serve, and had the title of Night Warrior infused with a certain kind of dark moon power that Tyrande was infused with at one point in the story. And so there's actually a part in Shadowlands where she is kind of gathered to help Tyrande handle all this Night Warrior power stuff.
Oh, cool. What is she the harvester of?
She is the harvester of wrath. She,
as in Wrath of Air Totem.
No, she is the creator of the Stone Legion. So basically, the giant gargoyle warriors who are the army of Revendreth, she created all of those. And so they often refer to as the Stone Mother or whatnot. And she views all of them as her children. She actually has a strong hatred for the Nathrazim because due to a conflict that we'll talk about in just a little bit, they ended up getting a lot of her stone legions killed. And so she has, a burning hatred for all of them. In fact, it's only when the Nathrazim come back that she actually throws in her lot with Renathal, because initially she was like, nope, Dinatharius is too powerful. I'm not going to throw my children to be destroyed in an unwinnable conflict. And so, yeah, that's why they decided to make her the shaman, because, kind of like it was the closest they could think of for one of these harvesters, because she's all about, earth as an element. She carves things out of stone and infuses them to life with anima. Again, anima is what powers everything. It's kind of like they're gargoyles who turn into robots when the anima is flipping the switch that turns them on. And in addition to all of that, she also can create living weapons and uses wrathful souls to create both. Part of her goal is forcing souls to confront their violent actions or just beat them until they do. Revendreth basically works that either you're sorry for what you've done and you want to atone, you are not sorry, and so you're tortured in some fashion until you finally are sorry. Or if you're really, really not sorry after a super long time, then you get thrown into the maw. That's kind of the way that it works there.
So it's super fitting that the Harvester of Wrath is just so big mad that she's like goaded into helping Renethal against Dinatharius.
Fair enough. Yes. And then we have we
so
still have more harvesters. To
we've
talk
got
about,
the
too.
other three, and these ones are not in the game, at least not in Hearthstone.
Right. Mm-hmm. So yes. First we have the accuser, who is the one in the most dress-like outfit right there on the left. She is the harvester of pride. She extracts anima and sins through what is known as the ritual of absolution, connected to the Cathedral of Absolution, by the way, and helps to sire souls into becoming Venthyr, if that's their right path, or sends them back to the Arbiter to go on to another afterlife, or, of course, condemns the Maw if that's something that needs to be done there. She's also the one who helps to like I said, there's various ways that souls are encouraged to feel some repentance if they don't initially. One of those is getting sealed in solitary confinement inside crypts until they, it's basically the ultimate go to your room and think about what you've done.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Go to your crypt and think about what you've done.
The accuser channels a lot of disappointed disciplinary mom energy, honestly. Our next one, who is at the top there, is called the Curator. She is the harvester of avarice. And she is essentially the great archivist of all of Revendreth. She is basically, her mind is a living archive. She remembers everything that was written on every sin stone, and also deals with crypts and catacombs and stuff as well. But she is like the living library of Revendreth. Unfortunately, she threw her lot in with Renethal, and the accuser did as well. They're very much on Renethal's side. And the curator kind of got cast into the maw, and it messed up her memory a bit. So it's taken her some time it's like she has to find the backup files at this point in the story in order to regain that full competence that she had before.
I have a feeling that if the curator was in Hearthstone, that her voice line would be, "The menagerie is for guests only."
Yeah. Hey.
To say, not to be confused with the other curator.
Yes. This one is not an arcane golem who, for some reason, is not considered a mech.
Right?
And yes, and then our last one, furthest on the right, is a not so helpful one. This one is the Harvester of Dread. She is known as the Fear Stalker, and basically her goal is to manage the animal populations in Revendreth and hunt down souls to make animal extraction and other wards easier. Basically, what they do in like the Forests of Dread is it's basically the most dangerous game, where they take all of these horrible souls who are used to dominating and frightening other people, and they put them in the middle of big spooky afterlife vampire forest and have them hunted until they learn fear themselves.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty
intense.
hardcore.
That sounds like fun.
But unfortunately, she is it's fun if you're doing the hunting. But she's one of the ones who sided with Dinatharius and embraced more of the corruption aspect, and so we have to kill her as players, and currently there's no one else to take her place yet. That's all 7 of the members of the Court of Harvesters, or as recent as those who have held such a position.
Okay.
Cool.
So moving right along to the servant races then.
Yes, now we're getting to where I was initially getting ahead of myself here with the dredgers. So remember how I said that the Venthyr are kind of like the Victorian aristocratic elite? Dredgers are basically the Cockney urchins. Like they talk like this, governor. That sort of thing. Yeah, and they just want to roll around. They're literally made from muck. They are created through alchemy, and they are the servant race. They are the janitors. They're the ones who go and, I've got to keep all the muck pipes working here, and I'm the waiter. I need to serve the hors d'oeuvres at the countess's banquets, and so on and so forth. They are very much expected to be seen and not heard. Many of the highest, snootiest vampire. I mean, we literally have a card that's called Elitist Snob. That is a lot of the Vampire. They are very much that, dredges this. So
I feel like
disgusting.
Morose should be there. Remember Morose?
Yeah.
From Medivh's, yeah, that's pretty
cool.
One night
Kelthuzad. Yeah, dredgers, many Vampire have the approach that dredgers should be neither heard nor seen. They should do their job, and frankly, it's really stepping out of line for them to even ask to be recognized for their work or anything. I mean, it's they get the short end of the stick from a lot of Vampire. But there's another type as well called the Biggins. Biggins are essentially dredgers that you basically, how you make a biggin is you have a bunch of magic muck, and you throw in a lot of dredgers, you throw in some special magic binding stone, and they just all merge into this one big brute who, they're not the smartest, of course. It's the typical, dumb oaf type of position, but they can do a lot of the heavy lifting and all that sort of thing. So that's why, I mean, for Buffet Biggin, I mean, just look at his expression. That's not really intelligence in that face there.
Wait. So the muck pools, then, that's how these are created?
Yes. They're all made out of magical mud, infused with anima, of course. And basically, so like that's how initial dredgers are made. You make a biggin by just throwing in a bunch of dredgers, and like they all lose their individuality and just become this one new thing. In fact, as a player, if you choose to join the Venthyr, because in Shadowlands there's like all 4 covenants and you choose one for the character to join, you get to create your own personal dredger butler, who is follows you around and helps you out with some stuff. And like you can collect little outfits and hairstyles for them, and give him a little pony to ride and everything. And basically you're a lot nicer to him than most dredgers get treated. So the thing is that I think one of the cool references from that one shaman card of the dredger is, throwing the stuff in the muck there. Crud caretaker. Basically, if a bunch of stuff gets in the muck pools, it creates these chaotic elementals from it, which is where that card effect comes from. It's like, he says like, it's all fun and game till the muck starts moving, because like if they aren't kept clean, it just starts randomly coming to life and animating itself and creating problems.
That's amazing.
So that's some great flavor, and that's just in a common card right there. But they got some great, really on point lore and flavor for that, which I really appreciate.
All right.
And then moving on, we are going to talk a little bit about some locations and the general atonement process for something. So, as I said, we already touched on a lot of this for the basics in while going over the Court of Harvesters and everything. But we wanted to make sure we highlighted the location that this is connected to. So, as I said, the Cathedral of Atonement is kind of where the accuser's base is. The big thing with the process is making them aware of their sins, like, bringing them to the light, finally getting them to admit that, okay, yes, I did that, and that thing was wrong. Like, that's that's the first big step to it all. Anima extraction is one of the keys to it. That's partially, it's the keeping everything running there, because the anima is literally fuel, and also because it's the relieving of the burden of the sins, because remember, anima is made from all your life experiences and stuff, and so people who have built up a lot of pride, a lot of avarice, a lot of desire, whatever it is, they have a lot of excess that can be siphoned off there. So it's all a part of the process. The details of exactly how and why that works are kind of a little murky, but it looks really cool. And apparently it does the job. So that's basically the purpose of the Cathedral of Atonement there. And
repent.
Yes. But now we get to talk about sin stones, which is a really cool aesthetic thing with Revendreth, I think, because they're essentially, they look like tombstones and everything, and you go around with it strapped to your back and everything. So when you get to Revendreth, you are obligated to chisel out all of your misdeeds on a stone that you then carry around everywhere. It's this record of everything that you have done. And it's, one of the things that's, a representation of what it is that you have to overcome. And the Sinstone Graveyard is actually where the stones of those who no longer need them are cast off. So it's not that there's actually people buried there. It's more like it's a graveyard for the stones themselves because they are no longer needed. Because once you either become a Venthyr or move on to another afterlife, it's not relevant. However, because a Venthyr's Sinstone still exists, even though they have overcome their past as from when they were just a mortal soul, if you get a hold of that Sinstone, you can use that to gain control over the Venthyr by reading out their sins in like kind of some sort of formal, heraldic way that it weakens them, brings down any natural defenses they have, and allows them to be taken out even if they're very powerful. So yeah, Sin Stones can be a Venthyr's greatest weakness if they don't keep them closely guarded and their enemies get a hold of them.
So even once they're cast off in like
yes.
the Sinstone like, wow, okay, so why would you get rid of it at the graveyard if someone could use it against you? Like, wow, okay.
Well, oftentimes it's they get misplaced or stolen. By people who want to get a hold of you. It wasn't really much of a problem until recently, honestly, with the revolution, because beforehand, people were pretty unified in the purpose. No one knew what Dinatharius was up to. But then we also have the sin stones of those who have been cast into the maw, the ones of the unrepentant that were never done away with, and those are what creates our rogue legendary card, who is let's see,
Halkias, right?
Halkias, yes. I don't know what I have trouble trying to pronounce that for some reason. Halkias, yes. Halkias is basically a Sinstone golem that is created from all the residual magic of the powerful Sinstones of the souls who were cast into the maw. And they just naturally absorb anima that is around them, and they can wreak a lot of havoc if they're not dealt with. This one in particular is a dungeon boss, actually from the Halls of Atonement dungeon.
Okay.
So, like, before you go into the Cathedral of Atonement area, this is like a boss that you have to fight outside of kind of in the courtyard area.
Is this thing like huge? Because it looks like a cathedral.
It's
kind of hard to tell from the Hearthstone art sometimes. Like, I don't know because
it's like maybe as tall as a house or something.
Oh, just as tall as a building, you know.
Well, for the height, it's like a person. Well, heck, Goliath. I think like the biblical Goliath. Like you got a very large person, like maybe like a 9 feet tall person. Pretty broad shouldered and all that. Probably would stretch up to the height of a single story house, but not as big and wide as a house itself.
Okay, so we're not talking about the size of one of our like elemental lord
Skyscrapers.
type of things,
No,
right? Like our
no, by no means are they that powerful.
I saw this, like the artwork looks like it's like a cathedral, like with arms and legs. And I was like, oh my.
It's that whole aesthetic. It's kind of what happens when you get a bunch of elaborate gravestone looking things that all merge together.
Gotcha. Okay.
I can jump taller than a house.
Oh, because a house can't jump?
Exactly.
Oh man,
I'm
that brings
glad-
back
so
so many memories.
Getting started on your dad jokes early. I'm proud of you. Okay. What is the Ember Ward? I guess that's what we're moving into. Is that right?
Yes. So this is where we get into Brenathal's little revolution that ultimately failed. Because he was using the power of his amulet, and he forgot that Dinatharius can see everything that happens with an amulet. So,
Duh.
it's kind of like, well, okay, like you guys are dads and or have a kid on the way. A picture that like your kids left a walkie-talkie accidentally in your room. They have one in their room, and they're planning about how they're going to sneak out of the house or do something against the rules you've set as a parent. And they don't realize that you can hear everything that they are saying. That is essentially what happened with Dinatharius and Renathal.
Well, that's embarrassing.
Whoops.
Yes, it honestly is. Very embarrassing for Renathal, unfortunately. And so, yeah, he and the curator got cast into the maw, and you have to rescue them. And the accuser managed to get away, but she's very much on the run until you come along. And it just all worked really badly. The Ember Ward is actually what was originally Renathal's home turf. It was the ward that he had dominion over, and where the Nathrazine operated out. However, the Nathrazine had a little espionage issue that happened because, as I said, that's their goal. They're the ultimate infiltrators. And as we mentioned last week, that one of their big things was Dinatharius had them infiltrate the other cosmic races, the void, the light, all of that. Well, the light saw what they realized that they were being infiltrated, and in retaliation, they full-on assaulted the part of Revendreth that the Nathrazim operated out of. So they scorched the entire place with the holy magics of the light, and
light shall burn you.
And because of that, are connected to it, Venthyr are very susceptible to the light. You might say the light, it burns. Because, it's reference to vampire type of things. But in this case, it's not just light, it's, the holy light here. Yes,
right.
The light, capital L, the cosmic force of life and goodness and harmony in the universe, etc., etc. So what happened is that this is essentially unlivable for Venthyr now. And it became the place that Dinatharius would send the political dissonants who were questioning his power. So he would exile them to the place where, this horrible, light that burns them is constantly everywhere, except they can manage to scrounge a bit of shade. And when that happens, they start to go mad. which is why we have Theotar, the Mad Duke. He was an ally of Renathal who got exiled there, and thankfully he didn't go completely all gone, because when they go completely all gone, then that's where you get like the Ash Elementals and the Crazed Wretches. The Crazed Wretch is what Event Theory eventually turns into if they are trapped in the Ember Ward for long enough, and it is entirely irreversible. Once you're a Wretch, you cannot regain your sanity. You cannot go back to being a full Event Theory. You're just a crazed beings like, jumping around and trying to devour whatever anima you can and whatnot. Theotar, thankfully, is not that far gone. But as I said, he's a noble, and he has that air of decadence about him and everything. It's like actually his voice line is a quote from the Gate where he says that insanity is no excuse for bad manners, because he's very much about the proper etiquette at the tea party and stuff.
That's
like
great.
You literally have quests about arranging tea parties for him. That's the type of person that he is. And so he's an ally that you rescue and recruit, and plays a decent sizable role in the story. He is, as we mentioned last week, that one of the things in Shadowlands is the idea of a soul bind. That's someone that you kind of merge your soul with. You share some power. It's very close, and it's a mechanic that for every covenant there are 3 characters that you can do soul binding with. If you are in Bastion, one of those is Pelagos. But if you are in Revendreth, Theotar is actually one of the people that you can merge a soulbind with. And actually, this is something I don't think it made to the full game, but it was in the testing, and I loved the idea of it. That one of the powers that you would get is, because he's all about the fancy parties and everything, is that you would be able to change your transmog, the customization of your outfit appearance, for free, when normally you have to pay gold for it, depending on how much you're changing it. So that wasn't something that fully made it into the game. They probably considered, everyone's just going to do that to save the gold. But
that's soul bind. That's similar to the items that you get that are soul bound.
Yeah, it's kind of, except it's an individual.
Yeah, but it's so the same thing as it being an individual you're soul binded to.
Right.
Those items are soul bound to you.
Yes, it's a very personal connection type of thing.
Yeah.
And that's but what ends up happening is that you manage to reclaim the Ember Ward and actually set up operations there in shady areas, of course. And it becomes the headquarters for the Court of Harvesters to arrange their rebellion against Sire Dinatharius, as they work to collect all of the amulets and medallions, as they work to collect all the medallions and eventually raise enough power and allies to assault Sire Dinatharius himself in Castle Nathria. But we have one other little thing to talk about before we have a break, because when the Naru and the Light attacked the Ember Ward, there was one who didn't make it back. Basically, this one kind of fell down into pieces, was defeated in battle against the Nathrazim, and was salvaged, shall we say, by Dinatharius' forces, and held in the Sanguine Depth, which is this super secret laboratory and dungeon where all sorts of very unethical experiments are conducted by Dinatharius and his forces. And so there's, you trying to pull some of the power from the Naru in order to torture enemies and whatnot, and try to gain control over it. And our Anima Extractor card here is the exact type of individual who inhabits the Sanguine Depths, and is the it's very painful. This is the sort of thing, like I said, where it's not just for the good of the souls. This is where it's like outright the ones who go into the outright sadistic torture and just extracting anima because we want it, and literally like burning up the souls and taking more than they can spare. It's a very nasty place. Actually, this is something I forgot to mention earlier in setting up the slides, but it's in the Sanguine Depths that actually where we encounter as a dungeon boss the Demon Hunter legendary, the Devourer. So we talked about Devourers last week.
Yeah, that's one. This one, like Crixus the Voracious. Is that right?
Yeah. This particular Devourer is specifically a dungeon boss from the Sanguine Depths, because it's where there's these huge anima stores that, like I said, they're being all hoarded away, and so it's like, very attracted to that. Like locusts to a rich field of grain or whatnot, and so it's just they're trying to get in there and consume as much anima as they can. And see that little guy is in there, or sorry, that very very big guy. And then eventually you are able to retrieve the Naru from the dungeon where she is being experimented on and tortured and whatnot. And this is like, discover like the big secret that Dinatharius was keeping down here. And actually, because it's dangerous for her to be around Venthyr, she is given jurisdiction over what's called the Dawn Keep in the Ember Ward, the tower where the Naru kind of first landed. It's the most light saturated place. So that's where she hangs out now that she has been rescued. And we're going to get back to her in a little bit. But first, I think that we're going to take a little intermission because it's song time before we delve into Castle Nathria itself.
Nice.
What?
Whoa, no.
Oh my. Yeah. Oh, you got me.
Brilliant.
We're no strangers to Hearthstone. You know the rules, and so do I. Proper etiquette's what I'm thinking of. To compensate for salt from all those other guys. I just wanna set your mind at ease now. Gotta make you understand. Never gonna use bots to cheat. Never gonna rage in defeat. Never gonna spam emotes and annoy you. Never gonna burn that rope. Never gonna give you false hope and drag things out if I destroy you. We both played Hearthstone for so long. You see my friend request, but you're scared to accept it. At this point you think ignore would be best. You've seen the salt and you now expect it. And if you think I'm gonna rage now about the deck you trounced me with, never gonna use bots to cheat. Never gonna rage in defeat. Never gonna spam emotes and annoy you. Never gonna just burn that rope. Never gonna give you false hope and drag things out if I destroy you. Never gonna use bots to cheat. Never gonna rage in defeat. Never gonna just spam emotes and annoy you. Never gonna just burn that rope. Never gonna give you false hope and drag things out if I destroy you. Cheat with bots, cheat with bots. Never gonna cheat, never gonna cheat with bots. Never gonna cheat, never gonna cheat with bots. We've both played Hearthstone for so long. You see my friend request, but you're scared to accept it. At this point you think ignore would be best. You've seen the salt and you now expect it. I just wanna set your mind at ease now. Gotta make you understand. Never gonna use bots to cheat. Never gonna rage in defeat. Never gonna spam emotes and annoy you. Never gonna just burn that rope. Never gonna give you false hope and drag things out if I destroy you. Never gonna use bots to cheat. Never gonna rage in defeat. Never gonna just spam emotes and annoy you. Never gonna just burn that rope. Never gonna give you false hope and drag things out if I destroy you.
Well played.
Wow, we got rickrolled.
I can't believe it. As soon as I heard that record scratch, I was like,
What?
is something wrong? Wait.
It took me some extra audio editing to put that all together today.
Wow.
I was even like, I read the file name. It's Take On Me. This is going to be fun.
That's why I love Take On Me. I thought, I was like, are you actually doing it? That's one of my favorite songs. Oh my gosh.
I absolutely love it too.
How did you keep
I
a straight
want to
face?
see if I can do it Sunday. The guy's vocal range is a lot higher than mine, so maybe I'll be able to manage it at some point. I don't know, but
mine too. I can't. I try to sing along, and it's pretty horrific.
I can hit like half of his notes. No, it's like he's amazing.
I was so into Take On Me before it happened. I was picturing the music video with that stop motion art
cycle and all that. Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, and I'm like picturing it. I'm like, imagine I could have Goliath's face doing it, and I'm like thinking about that, and the record scratch came in. I'm like, excuse me, what?
Well, I'm saying
I can't believe I've never got rickrolled so hard. Like
on our own show.
Wow.
This is what I felt I missed the opportunity when we there was literally a show on April 1st. But what are the odds, however long it would be until that happened? And given that we'd been having, discussions recently about, I think it might have just, what was it last week or what? No, I think Hydra at one point you said a friend request, and there was a bit of tension about, is this person going to be mad that I beat him with the DAC or something? Mm-hmm. But they were fairly. I've just got to thinking about that, and this is the song that fits that best. But man, I cannot waste this by just making it the song. Don't worry, I have the full file that you can put on the website. It's just this thing without the Rickroll trick in there.
No, but, it's so good. That's half the fun. Oh my god!
Yeah. If that's what you want, then
we need the Rickroll trick in it.
And it has to be called Take On Me, Hearthstone Parody 1.
Well, yeah, because if we want to post it and stuff too, we need everybody else that doesn't watch this live to get rickrolled, right?
Yeah. Classic.
I needed to make sure that you guys didn't, listen to it before the show. Otherwise, I was wondering.
Ruined. You always send it to me too. I'm like, why didn't he send it? Like I was a little butthurt about it. Like, why didn't Goliath send me the song? I didn't get to hear it this time.
Well, I also recorded it kind of last minute after work today, but I know that. Yeah.
Oh, you got me.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's great. Wow. All right. You've outdone yourself yet again.
And speaking of plot twists,
well played.
Turns out that Dinatharius' big plot twist is that all the anima that he has been hoarding, he shunts it all down into the maw to provide fuel for the jailer to eventually break out. So he has and all this huge anima power. And this is part of what is eventually, motivating, it's kind of the big exposure that, oh man, more people need to flock to Revendreth's cause. Like, basically, if we're going to take out the jailer, who is the big bad of the expansion, Dinatharius has to go first because he is such a huge ally. He is extremely powerful. And basically, this is where the very first raid of Shadowlands comes in, Castle Nathria. And so a lot of our legendaries here are bosses from the Castle Nathria raid, and a lot of the locations are the places that we fight them in. So we're just going to take a little tour here, because first we have, as our first legendary, Huntsman Altimore in the Kennels. And this guy right here is essentially, well, it's kind of self-explanatory. He is Royal Huntsman here. He is in charge of making sure that his master has the finest beast, should he ever choose to indulge in hunts himself. Because as I mentioned, that's a whole thing that they have, where they, hunt down the souls of those who caused fear in order to invoke fear themselves. And so this guy is, like the Royal Beastmaster. He makes sure that they have the finest gargons. And by the way, gargons are not animals in like the truest sense. They are actually, much like the Stone Legion, they are carved from stone and animated by anima, just like the others. It's just that they're in a bestial form, actually. They are described as being chiseled in the image of things that go bump in the night.
Is this similar to what the Stone Right was making, or different?
She made all this stuff, yeah.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. I just checking.
And they just call them gargons to get around the copyright from gargoyles, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, but actually a gargoyle, because like the Gorgons, right, were known for, like, if you take a look at now,
turning to stone. Yep.
Right, turn into stone. I know it's we have like Zola the Gorgon or whatever, but like Gorgons turn stuff into stone, like Medusa and the whole
The whole Zelda Gorgons too.
Now I want cheese.
The big stone guys.
Gotcha.
Gorgonzola cheese. All right.
Exactly.
Okay, so yeah, all right. So the kennels, that's just a location within the castle?
Yep, that's the name of the location that you have that boss fight in.
Oh, I see. Okay. Very cool. Alrighty. And then so the next one up is this the Warlock legendary, Lady Darkvein?
Yes, Lady Inerva Darkvein, as her full name here. She is kind of a dark scholar type of thing. She seeks to unlock the anima's mysteries, and she studied under Dinatharius and learned insidious secrets to turn it against his enemies. She is capable of stripping anima from invaders and using it to shape a new dark future, according to her little raid boss bio, actually. So yeah, she is another boss there that you fight in the raid. And she's down in the big anima stores area, which is another place that would have probably made a really cool location card, actually. So this is where there's basically these huge vats of the stored anima that's just been, hoarded and siphoned and being used for Dinatharius's, private enjoyment and kept away from everybody else. And yeah, she just, kind of like can pull on all that anima and shape it to her will.
Okay.
And so that's kind of leaning into her whole, like, you see, like, she has a book there and everything. The Vial Library location is actually a Hearthstone exclusive creation, as is the Hedge Maze. So those are ones that Hearthstone made up, but they very well could exist in Castle Nathria. It's an absolutely huge place. Who's to say we explored all of it in a raid? We're going there with the single goal of overthrowing the guy who owns the house. So again, it's Hearthstone doing that it can happen, and I like believing it does. So it's canon in my head.
Hey, nice. All right, and so this next one we talked about a little bit last week, right? As one of our characters, but it looks like we're going to get into it a little bit more now.
Yes. So we talked a bit about the race of the brokers, but not about this guy in particular. So this guy right here, the Artificer Zymox, he is, as you see here, the Reliquary Vault. This is an area of the castle where Dinatharius has a lot of his most precious and powerful artifacts kept. And basically, this guy right here, this broker, as I mentioned last time, they are very opportunistic. They are like, as I described before, goblins on steroids. Just like the ultimate, they live in cartels. Part of their name is, based on what cartel you are from, and this guy basically sees that there's a lot of chaos going in Castle Nathria, and he decides, hey, while everyone's all distracted, I think I'll just sneak into the Reliquary Vault here and help myself and see what some of this stuff does. He has no loyalty to Dinatharius. He just is exploiting the opportunity. Says that according to his raid bio, he actually has worked with Dinatharius, but he's mostly concerned with getting the better end of the deal. And basically, his raid boss fight is all about him experimenting with the different relics around. So he's like, "Oh, what does this do? What is it? Oh, this rips reality apart. What do you know?" And those are the mechanics that you have to work around in order to defeat him. He actually returns in the last boss of the expansion, where you are in that origin of the Shadowlands, Zereth Mortis, and he's like, "Ooh, there's even more reality warping things here that I can use to become more powerful." And so he's actually, you fight him as a raid boss in 2 different Shadowlands raids. This is where you first meet him. He's one of the more troublemaking brokers
here, but wait, there's more.
Now, he's not actually like a demon hunter, right? This is
no.
Did they just put it in Demon Hunter because Demon Hunter needed some stuff, and so the relics?
That's what has happened with a lot of Demon Hunter cards, honestly. Demon Hunters proper are just the Illidari. They are the Night Elves and Blood Elves who look like Illidan. They have the horns, they have the eyes, they hunt with the glaives and all of that. And then sometimes it stretches out, like for Ashes of Outland, or for just the expansion that we just had with all the Naga, because they had the Lady Sethro, who was actually a Naga ally of Illidan. So sometimes they're able to work that sort of thing in. But a lot of the time, Demon Hunters just are not relevant to many of the set themes that they are going for. So they just kind of set something in that is either related to its just purely mechanic wise that kind of makes sense with what they can do, or I think part of it is they kind of just go for the whole general outcast theme. What's the outlier here? Like you had the Quillbores back in Barons and such, and like the Death Knight Quillbores, that one legendary. And I think it's just kind of the general thing. Demon Hunter gets what doesn't fit anywhere else. When you don't have a Demon Hunter proper, you have an outcast of some sort. It's kind of the best way that I can rationalize the flavor that goes
Interesting.
with.
So it sounds like WoW and Wild Hearthstone have a lot in common, and that Demon Hunters are kind of irrelevant.
Yeah. Honestly, yes. Demon Hunters were relevant to the story of Warcraft in the expansion they were introduced in, Legion, and they haven't really had much special to do since. They're just kind of there helping out the Alliance or Horde or whatever world-ending threat is happening, but there's not very much Demon Hunter-specific stuff, or even really Demon Hunter-specific characters that are introduced much, so Hearthstone has to get creative when they want something with the class. Makes me wonder what they're going to do if they ever introduce the other player classes like Monk and Death Knight as actual Hearthstone classes. Are they going to be able to find enough ways to get creative, or maybe they think 10 is good, we have enough trouble finding things to fit Demon Hunter, maybe we're just going to stop there. I don't know where they're going to go with this, honestly.
Yeah.
It'll happen one day.
But we're not finished yet right here. We still have a few more guys to talk about.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. So you guys know and love / hate this fella right here, I know, at least from a card perspective.
So this guy's carrying a rather large... So it's Kelthas, but I saw the name of the card. It's called Sin Strider instead of Sun Strider.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at the art, like, this dude is carrying a giant Sinstone on his back. I mean...
Yes.
It's a rather large Sinstone there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely Kelthas the Chained.
Well, you guys remember, we've talked a bit about Kelthas' story and such. It didn't quite end well, did it? Do you guys remember much, or would you like a little refresher?
Previously on Born to Be Wild.
Right. Magic. My people are addicted to it.
Literally, that's the whole thing with the Blood Elves, is that they are addicted to the magic. And in order to find a source to sate that magic, Kelthas ended up joining forces with Illidan in Outland, which is where we first met him, in Ashes of Outland. And but Illidan was really focused on his own goals and didn't really get around to the whole actually providing Kelthas with a thing that would help keep his people from dying of magic deprivation. And so Kelthas decided to ally with the Demons of the Burning Legion instead, and ended up becoming all fell corrupted, and basically he's a whole-on villain, and he, betrayed his people, and is all just had a complete turnaround villain thing going on there. And so being a prince, an elven prince, even just that, and a super powerful mage, there's already a lot of ego going on there. Mix it with everything he's done. He's ending up in Revendreth. But it's not just his own sins that are the reason for that absolutely huge sin stone there, because there's one of the raids bosses is called Sun King Salvation, where you're trying to rescue him because he is being loaded with other people's sins by Dinatharius as a way of kind of like supercharging him, like with extra, sin anima energy that Dinatharius can harvest. And yes, actually, you managed to rescue him and recruit him, and he actually becomes an ally to the Court of Harvesters in your fight against Dinatharius to collect all the medallions and whatnot. He's a personal pet project of the accuser who's trying to work to get him to actually repent and admit that, he wasn't entitled to everything, and he did actually make mistakes because he's too prideful to admit that anything that he did was wrong. It was everybody else's fault, of course. And actually, they consider that were Kelthas a bit further along down his path of redemption, he could potentially actually fill one of those missing slots on the Court of Harvesters that doesn't have someone to hold a medallion. He's not quite there yet, but Renathal's kind of considering maybe someday, if we don't have anyone yet. It's like if you want that promotion at work, and they're like, we don't think you're quite qualified yet, but if the position is still open in X amount of time, then by all means, feel free to apply. It's basically that situation going on with Kelthas there. And the Sin Strider title is more just a pun with the Hearthstone card. He isn't actually known by that in WoW, but it's
a good play on words.
Yes. I appreciate a play on words way too much to consider that something bad.
I watched The Order last night, the old Heath Ledger movie, and it's funny because you were talking about this, like there's that whole thing about like the Sin Eater in that movie, and it's like very on theme or on point with this card.
Mm-hmm.
Very fun.
There's also a Sin Eater in the Spider-Man comics.
Oh, well, howdy do. Okay, I've read a lot of them, but not that far apparently, but hey, that's cool. All right, so Kelthas Sinstrider, and then next up is another location, the Great Hall.
Yeah, so this is one where the location is a card, but the boss itself is not. This is where you fight the Council of Blood, and they're just basically a group of, high-powered aristocrats who, like cozying up to Dinatharius, and he infuses them with power, and you have to fight them to get to him, and yada, yada, yada. But the fun thing about this fight that I thought you might want to know is that it utilizes, like, the floor squares in the Great Hall that you essentially, it's like a ball dance where you have to move in certain positions like you're dancing as part of raid mechanics. They literally say things, okay, now you must boogie down.
Spin your partner round and round.
That sort of thing, essentially, yes. It's literally a part of the raid fight where they are making you dance in the Great Hall. Otherwise, you get debuffs that are very powerful and probably die and wipe the raid and everything. So that's not really a bunch of lore to talk about all this per se, but it's a really fun thing that leans into the flavor of this Great Hall aspect. So
it's kind of
I wanted to let you know that.
Nice. I was going to say it's kind of fun. I think with some of the locations, they probably were like, well, we need one for each class. What should we do for the Paladin class? Like, well, fine. The Great Hall. Why not?
Sounds great.
And all of the classes have a very strong identity, like through all the cards about the whole general area of the castle they're located in. Like clearly in like the druid is the hedge maze area and all the nature stuff, and the warlock is the wild library. And those might be ones that they made up. But like for example, with the paladin cards, we have Steward the Steward. It's all, and there's the sinful sous chef. And so the idea of this is the place where we dine and dance is very baked into how they chose to portray the paladin class in this particular set. And the warlock is all about the sanguine deaths with the extraction of the anima. And you can see that theme through just about all of them if you look closely enough through all the different class cards.
Very cool. All right, we have a fun one next where I'm really interested to hear about the Living Blade here.
Yeah. So this is the part where we get to the final fight against Dinatharius himself as the end boss of the Castle Nathria raid. Nightcloak Sanctum is the room in which we have that big showdown with him. And it is a very long fight, largely because there's a lot of mechanics where you're just fighting or trying to avoid getting hit by Remora, the Living Blade, who is basically this sentient, very bloodthirsty sword who is kind of, you might say, like the right-hand henchman of Dinatharius in a way, except it's a sword who is sentient and... let me put it this way. Let me read you a few of her lines. She says things like, after you defeat him, treacherous prince, I will skewer you, slice you, slash you, vivisect you, cut ribbons from you. And Prince Revendreth yells, we've all heard quite enough from you. It's like, she says things like that throughout the entire fight. And she's like, very obsessed with with the slice and dice aspect. She revels in it. A very bloodthirsty sword.
Right? Wasn't it something like, let me cut him to ribbons or something like that?
Exactly. And in fact, it is the part where in Dinatharius's where he's able to beat Renethal after you free Renethal, and you guys try another assault on Dinatharius before the raid itself, but it fails because Dinatharius literally, there's a whole cinematic of this if you want to look it up. He just unleashes Remora, and she's just flying around in like a slash here, slash there, wounds him as he's charging towards Dinatharius, and eventually he's just like falling down on the ground because he's like so wounded, and he's just slumped at Dinatharius' feet, and he's like, this was your big final last stand. Pathetic. He just picks him up and makes him watch as he releases all the anima into the maw and everything. But here in this fight, after all that, what happens is that after we defeat Dinatharius, Remora, the ever loyal servant, absorbs Dinatharius's essence with the intention of flying down to the moss so the jailer can make him whole again, essentially undoing what we just did. But Brenethal and his allies are able to capture Remora, and they actually imprison her in the Dawn Tower under the stewardship of the Naru there. So, because remember, Dinatharius isn't exempt from this whole the light it burns thing. So this is his prison. He is stuck inside his own sword, trapped inside the light, with the idea from Renethal that not only will this be contained, maybe after he suffers enough, he'll finally start to remember the purpose that he was meant to do. And basically, he has to go through a long period of repentance himself. However, it doesn't really stick. Because we have those Nathrazim again, those pesky little Nathrazim, and Mal'Ganis returning and everything. Because while Mal'Ganis makes a bit of a scene and keeps Renethal and the player distracted, other Nathrazim. Remember how I said they can infiltrate just about anything, and you never knew that there was a replacement?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that they are infiltrated the guards who are watching over the sword and Dinatharius' prison, and they're able to momentarily disable the Naru and grab the sword and vanish off to wherever. So this is the point where we are right now. Dinatharius, he might be absorbed in his sword, but he is not dead. He is out there somewhere in the cosmos. It's basically a guarantee he's going to be a returning villain at some point in the World of Warcraft story moving forward. We have no idea where he is, what his ultimate plan is, where he's going to strike. But the whole thing with the Nathrazim, they were initially exiled because of that whole business with the Wrath of the Naru and creating the Ember Ward and burning it and everything. But that was all originally a part of the plan. Dinatharius got them purposely exiled so that they could go out into the material world and then create the Burning Legion by becoming demons and influencing Sargeras to fall and go down the corrupt path and all of that stuff, because it all ultimately fueled Dinatharius's plans and the jailer's plans. And so the Remora right there, that is where Dinatharius is as of this point in the story.
In the sword. Okay.
In the sword, yep.
So the Nathrazim stole her with him inside, and maybe he's escaped from her at this point. We don't know.
The end? Question mark.
So let me ask then, what is your hot take on this mystery thing? Is it a big red herring? Is it a Hearthstone exclusive storyline? Are they just having fun? Or who do you like? I don't know what their long-term plan is. Like, are they going to, reveal the quote unquote killer, or are we all just going to get rickrolled?
The whole thing is that
oh my gosh, if Rick Astley came out.
that Dinatharius is, I believe what they're doing here is Dinatharius is faking his own death in order to kind of draw out his enemies and either just play around with them or get an advantage over them or expose some dirty secret about them or something. Because for one thing, he's narrating his own, intro here. It's like, oh no, I have been killed. One, that's a little sus in and of itself. But also, when you play the card, what does it say? It says, a toast to all of those who would try to kill me. It's like, that has to be him, coming back and everything. He's going to have to reveal, haha, I am not dead. I fooled you all. That's the story that I think that they are going with for this expansion. But I have the feeling that it's one of those things that the story will, be fully continued and concluded in the mini set. That's what they like to do. So we'll see where it goes with that. And there's a lot of different characters that we could potentially see at some point. As I said, there's There's those members of the Court of Harvesters who aren't
Mhm.
cards yet. They could be interesting legendary minions if they were to maybe focus on something like the Ember Ward or another part of Revendreth. Or if they went into like the Mon, the Jailer connection, that's another way. There's a few directions that this could honestly go, and I can't really say with as much certainty as I've been able to for some past expansions what I think the mini set is going to be. Is that there's just so much Shadowlands that could be Hearthstone. We don't know where they're going.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder we could see the Naru as a priest card maybe. Although we've already got a couple of those, maybe we don't need them.
They make good priests and paladin cards because both are about the
Yeah.
light. So
It shall burn Dinatharius at least.
And then, so that's all of the big lore stuff for us to handle. We've covered pretty much all of the canon character legendaries who aren't Hearthstone exclusive creations. Like we don't know what's going on with Rafam there, why he's in the Shadowlands. I'm sure that Hearthstone has created some fun stories about all that. But there are some fun little reference cards that I wanted to talk about as well, to some activities or Easter eggs in Revendreth that I was happy to see became cards. So, one of my favorite things about Revendreth is this little mini game that you get to play if you are a member of the Venthyr, which is essentially a party managing simulator. It's called the Ember Court. And the whole thing is that like you are attempting to make diplomatic ties across the Shadowlands in order to build up your power in order to fix Revendreth. And how do Venthyr do that? By taking a page from the Countess's book, you throw just the best parties ever in order to make good relations with everybody. And
Yeah.
so this guy right here, the Invitation Courier, he is a reference to this little small gargoyle guy who is named Timet, I believe is how you pronounce it, who is initially the Sin Herald. Like he's the one who, read your sin stones and condemn you and stuff. But then he is appointed as the Party Herald instead, and he's the one who hands out the invitations, and you can invite people from all across the Shadowlands. And yeah, it's this whole simulator where like the different guests like different things. Like some of them like it to be a messy party, some of them like a little danger, others like it to be nice and secure, some like having very formal attire, others want like a rock and roll type of party. And so it's all about inviting the right guests, arranging the right entertainment, making sure everyone is having a good time at the party. It's a whole mini game that you can only play if you are Revendreth Covenant aligned in World of Warcraft. It was one of my favorite things to do during the expansion period. Just helped me live out my party hosting fantasies.
What a job change, right? That's pretty funny.
Yeah, the Party Herald is here.
Well, and to go from the big bad thing to now the Party Herald, that's pretty funny.
Yes,
that's great.
And it's actually also a connection with the next one there, the Party Favor Totem, because one of the things as the rewards that you get for successfully making your guests happy is you get special little attributes or goodie bags, party favor type of things that they leave behind. So it's not actually a totem. The totem is just for shaman mechanic related things in Hearthstone, but the whole idea of like the party favor and everything is a thing as the Ember Court minigame there, and I just get a huge kick that like this is a thing that they decided to include because it's one of the best parts of it in my opinion. We also have two other reference cards here. One of them, Blanchy, or Sin Runner. You can tell in the flavor text it makes reference to that its name is Blanchy, and this is actually a rare mount that people can try to get in Warcraft in Revendreth. I personally took a long time for me to get this one, but I really wanted it because it was really cool. And it's called Blanche the Sin Runner, and thus the name of the card, Sin Runner. And
Right.
it's one of those, you have to camp in the right spot, waiting for it to spawn, which it only does like every 5 hours or something. And then you have to get in a group and be able to do the right things. You actually don't fight her. What you need to do is to help take care of her. So first, you need to find like some horseshoes for her and feed her apples and brush her hair until she trusts you and you're her friend and everything. She's actually a horse from an earlier expansion in World of Warcraft. You can see Blanche the horse in an Eastern Kingdoms Alliance zone called Red Ridge. And she's just a horse pulling a cart and everything. And there's references like, she seemed like such a mild-mannered horse. What could she have done to have ended up in Revendreth? We don't know what sins this horse committed, but
She looks like she's made out of like pure anima too.
essentially, yes.
Like,
Yeah, it's just a really cool reference, and I'm glad they made a card about it. And then our
Yeah.
last one here is actually a special ability for all classes, but they decided to make it a rogue card called Door of Shadows. So anytime you join one of the four covenants, you get like a special ability that's like a class spell, and we talked about those last time because they made cards for each of the classes with a special covenant class spell. But there's also just a special general covenant ability that everybody gets. Sheep, remember how I mentioned that if you join Bastion, you get your own personal steward?
yes.
That's the ability that you have if you join Bastion.
Cool.
And if you join Revendreth, you get an ability called Door of Shadows, which essentially allows you to teleport anywhere. Basically, you if there's like a high ledge that you can't jump to, you just move over and you kind of disappear in this thing of anima and peer up on the ledge where you were aiming. And so, Door of Shadows is a specific Revendreth exclusive ability that anybody can use that makes getting around a lot more easy and fun. So
Cool.
yeah, that's the last of our little references and Easter eggs, but I thought they were worthy of bringing some attention to.
Very cool. It's always fun when there's like the inside jokes or the things that like are there, but that you wouldn't know unless you're played the game. And for the bulk of people who just play Hearthstone casually and not World of Warcraft, to play these cards and stuff, and that's fun. But it's a nice little nod to the folks who play WoW or know the stories behind, and so it's neat to see these inclusions. And again, my mind is blown, like why I always try to include the WoW art with the Hearthstone cards is that when you compare them, they look so similar. They've really done a wonderful job, as always, of trying to get the artwork to match.
With a Hearthstone twist too, right? Because you see it in the 3D world that WoW is, and then we see it in the nice style that Hearthstone does. So it's like similar, but with that tiny little twist that Hearthstone likes to put on things, turning things maybe even cuter, usually cuter, or a little scarier or whatever. So I think, yeah, it's super cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all the stories with us. I'd love to see them all, hear about them, and what a neat thing. I'm really curious to see where they go with the mini set and see how things connect and what they choose to do with it. And they have a really unique way of doing things with Hearthstone, where sometimes it's it's very WoW lore dependent, and sometimes they choose to do their own thing, and sometimes it's somewhere in between. Like we've seen them retcon a few things in order to like make everything work together, and like it doesn't really matter. It's just all fun, and so
yeah,
I'm enjoying it, and I'm very curious to see what'll happen. Like they've really pushed this whole murder mystery thing, and as they've left things off, it's like nobody really knows what happened, and so I'm curious to see. Like they can't just leave it on a cliffhanger, right? I mean, they have to tell us something. So
There's still the mini set. We shall see.
I suspect that that's where they will go with it. Is kind of the continuation of this whodunit. So
Yeah.
Maybe they'll even release a sequel to that whole script thing that they did.
I'm really thinking so.
that would be great. And I was looking for it. I'll have to look again, but last I heard, like, I know they did that thing on Twitch with all the different content creators playing the role of the different parts, but I couldn't find it on YouTube anywhere, and I don't know if the VOD exists, but I really wanted to watch it. It sounded fun.
I know the VOD on Twitch, exists because I watched it there, but
Yeah, I still need to see that.
We'll have to find.
Not sure about
it. Yeah,
not sure about the YouTube one. Well, thanks again, Goliath. It's always an absolute treat to have you on, teaching us about the things that we do not know. It's always great.
And always a thrill to be on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Goliath, for kind of bridging the gap between, WoW and Hearthstone and just making it. I always feel like whenever we finish one of these that I have just so much more of a connection to the cards and can like point to that and be like, look, that's why, I mean, not the stone right, for example there, but like, that's why, they interact in the way that they do. And I really look forward to playing cards with that kind of like fresh take again.
And something to always keep a lookout for is sometimes they will have cards and heroes that have exclusive voice lines in relation to each other. And there's almost always a story reason for that. So I don't know if people have experimented enough or had enough combinations to find all of those, but keep your eye out. And odds are if you see any of them, like if there's anything, perhaps if you play Renethal and your opponent is Dinatharius or something, I don't know if there is anything like that, but odds are you'll probably understand whatever reference you end up seeing.
Nice.
That's a great idea. I wonder if the new cards are up on that Hearth SFX website yet.
They are.
Oh, well,
I don't see any specific interactions with Prince Renethal, though.
Missed opportunity, or it's not recorded yet.
You know what, though? We could look at
Remember, there's also a Prince Renethal hero that no one has gotten in the reward track yet, unless they're crazy right now, I guess. So
yeah, see, if we look here at, let me scroll down to Sire Dinatharius. Sometimes there's special. Oh, there is special stuff. Okay. This is a shame because y'all aren't going to hear this. So there is a special voice line when Dinatharius is on one side and Renethal as the hero is on the other side.
Ooh, okay.
And then there's special voice lines for playing the following cards: Cleave, which is the old card, right? Burden of Pride, Conqueror's Banner, and Mortal Strike. So there are special voice lines here.
You will regret
playing
your
those along
insolence.
with
Okay.
like against a certain hero.
No, just one played. So Cleave.
You will all suffer.
Yeah, but you can't hear it, right? Unfortunately.
None will survive.
on our end.
Pain cleanses the soul.
I don't see the special ones on.
I will cut you down.
But I believe you.
If you they're there, and they're all the way at the bottom. If you check it out, so for those of you listening or watching, Hearth SFX is a really cool website, and it's got basically all of the different Hearthstone cards and all the different sound effects that they make. It's really cool. You can explore.
Oh, you were looking at the Sire Dinatharius hero. That's what threw me off. I was looking at the minion. Yeah.
No. Yeah, the hero, and then Renethal has some as well. So a different opening when you play against Dinatharius.
How far you have fallen, master.
And then a special opening or special line when you play against Sylvanas, which is interesting.
You'll find that
Sylvanas
my will
was,
is my own.
The jailer's biggest helper for a while. She's the one who initiated a lot of this trouble with the Shadowlands, and was the big bad of a portion of it for a while. And so Renethal would have some beef with Sylvanas, I'm sure.
These are both Renethal and Dinatharius are both warrior heroes. And then Serenithal has special voice lines when you play Execute, Brawl, Revenge, Burden of Pride, Riot, I think it says, and Conqueror's Banner. So very cool. We'll have to check those out. It's always fun when they've got special interactions. I don't know about the cards themselves. Probably not. But the heroes is usually where that stuff lies. Yeah.
The way that it works is that if you play a legendary card, sometimes they will have it where the opening voice line that the card says, rather than the typical one, if your opponent is a certain hero, that there's a different one. Like if your opponent is the Garrosh skin and you are playing Kieran Bloodhoof, instead of the Earth Mother will watch over us, he says, Garrosh, you are not worthy to lead the Horde. And so that there's some, in fact, if you play before Illidan was the Demon Hunter card, remember back when he was a legendary that no one played, if you played him
played him at Quest Rogue.
If you played him against a Malfurion, then he would say something like, hello, brother. And so like they have done that sort of thing in the past. I don't know what they still do, but there is still sometimes where you can find in the game, it's an interaction where you playing a legendary minion or them playing against you to an opposing hero that they have a lore relation with.
Right.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll have to goof around with that and see. Yeah. And we just won't know until we find out, I guess. So we'll see. I'm excited to see though, and I'm curious to see if there's any sort of interaction with the Garrosh, the Chained, the one where they're like, extracting anima from Garrosh. That would be cool too.
It would be
pretty neat. Well, I'm excited always to hear these, and we'll have to probably come back and do some more after they release the mini set to see, what's next and what other interactions are we going to see.
Absolutely.
Should be a blast.
Excitement abounds.
Before we end up wrapping up, we should get into this week's listener challenge. And so last week, what we had was a Goliath-themed listener challenge, and that was because I typed in Goliath in the Discord because I was looking for a funny Goliath the Dwarf meme, and then I came across a David and Goliath meme with David beating Goliath in between the eyes with a little pebble. And that what made me think of is a challenge, and that was smallest minion to kill the biggest minion. And we had a bunch of people talking about it in the Discord, but we didn't actually end up with submissions. So I figured we'd roll it over, do it again. And there is one ban, and that is Dark Moon Rabbit. So it is smallest minion to kill the biggest minion. Dark Moon Rabbit cannot be used. Also, the smallest minion cannot get the final kill. It needs to do the killing itself. And there's extra bonus points if this small minion survives the kill, which is thematic.
Nice.
Right? So
I don't blame anybody for not getting it done because the new set just came out and
yeah.
We've had too much fun experimenting with stuff to think about challenges.
Right.
Completely understandable.
But if you would like 2 packs towards this new expansion, you can participate in this. Maybe you're a couple legendaries short, trying to fill out that collection. Let's kill Goliath with a David, and you can submit your screenshots in the weekly challenges channel in our Discord. And the winner will be announced on next week's show and will receive 2 Hearthstone packs on us and be immortalized in the Hall of Fame on the Born to Be Wild website. Now, remember, you can do this against an opponent, a real opponent, either in casual or on ladder. We don't need to tank your rank on ladder, so you can do this in casual. This choice is up to you, but not against Innkeeper or any other solo content.
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
If you still kill me, you can still find me in the Shadowlands, and I'll still tell stories. So it's all good.
I love it.
You won't take it personal.
I chose this name. I will live with it. And die with it.
And die with it.
Wow. Please.
We'll see what takes you out.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
come at
great.
me.
Well, I've been trying to have kind of fun with this unrelated advice thing, but because you guys can't hear it, like I would press play and it would be awkward for like 15 seconds while I'm, I'm not very good at whistling anymore, I guess.
And
but
now, unrelated advice with Nathaniel Wolf.
wow.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
I need to clip that to use later. It's just
that could work.
I'll remix the old one, and instead of the Craig's smooth voice over here, we'll do our little janky version of me attempting to whistle and oh gosh. Yeah, well, all of that, and I don't even know what I was gonna say anymore. But that was fun. Does anyone have any unrelated advice that they want? Since my brain is very tired after a long week.
Cream of wheat or rolled oats, and do you add milk?
None. The answer to that is to use steel cut oats and or moose slicks for maximum texture, nuttiness, and a lot more health that is in there with the steel cut that is often lost in the either the fine grinding or the rolled oats. Trust me, I've had oatmeal for breakfast for nearly every day of my life. This is my thing.
Wow, you asked the right question.
Very much so.
And yes,
Wiser
I
words.
use milk instead of water if I can.
Yeah.
Creamier.
So
Wiser words have never been spoken.
right? Wow. So we mostly have like that pre-made oatmeal stuff, but like we used to get the cream of wheat, and
Yeah.
I would always just add water, like a savage.
What?
And not milk, but if you add some like cinnamon sugar, add some raisins, cinnamon sugar raisins. Oh my gosh.
Brown
yeah.
sugar?
Brown sugar is really good. I like it a lot better than oatmeal, that's for sure. These days I don't.
There's actually this. There's this. If you like cream of wheat, there's this great recipe that I found last fall, which is essentially they call it like guilt-free pumpkin pie, cream of wheat, which is basically where you have some some low-fat cream and milk that you mix in some spices, some canned pumpkin, and it's like you're eating a pumpkin pie filling, but with a lot less of the fat from a whole-on dessert, so you can enjoy it without the guilt.
Wow.
Can be a breakfast, can be a dessert thing. Yeah, I got it from I think it was a Taste of Home cookbook.
You can forward that to me. That'd be great. That'd be great.
I'll see if I can dig it up. Yeah.
Hey, wiser words were never spoken, and you heard that on Born to Be Wild.
Born to be beep, bop, beep.
Wild.
Honestly, that's so good. I thought that the thing was working now.
I have no idea if they actually ended up pushing the button or not, but I think
I did, but
maybe we'll be dubbed on top of it, and that'll be perfect.
that is pretty much exactly what happened.